Welcome to the Moxie OT podcast, where we invite occupational therapy practitioners, consumers, and friends of OT to talk about evidence-based practice. Today we'll be talking to Dr. Allyson Loris, an occupational therapist with Community Aging in Place, Advancing Better Living for Elders, or the CAPABLE program. This innovative program teams a nurse, an OT, and a handyman to address the needs of seniors in their homes. Let's meet Allyson. Today on the Moxie OT podcast, we'll be talking to Allyson Loris about the Community Aging in Place, Advancing Better Living for Elders, or the CAPABLE program. Allyson is an occupational therapist for the CAPABLE program at the Northwest Housing Partnership here in Illinois. I'm also proud to say that Allyson's a former student of mine, and she's already come back to the university as a guest lecturer. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the Moxie OT podcast.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. Allyson, you're still a relatively new OT, and even before you graduated, you were doing great things. It's been a lot of fun watching how OT schools shaped you and where you've taken your career. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background and how you became involved in the CAPABLE program?
For sure. So as for my background, I always knew I wanted to be an OT when I grew up. In undergraduate, my education was focused on occupational and disability studies first. Here I became introduced to the idea of universal design and the idea that environmental barriers can either impact your ability or disability. I love the idea of adapting the environment to fit the needs of the individual in order to make them as functionally independent as possible. So moving on to OT school, my interest always leaned more towards older adults. My fieldwork really solidified that for me. My first one was in a skilled nursing facility, and my second at a neuro rehab outpatient clinic, primarily with individuals 65 and older. Here I saw firsthand how important a piece of equipment, grab bars, can really make or break the transition home. And if they don't have a good transition home, there's a really high likelihood that they're going to be readmitted. Not having the right equipment, not having the finances to get the right equipment was a problem I saw time and time again. As I planned for my doctoral capstone at the end of my OTD program, one of my professors introduced me to the CAPABLE program and shared with me that there is an opportunity to be a part of the pilot CAPABLE program in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. I was instantly interested and I jumped on board.
That's so exciting. As you know, I teach about the CAPABLE program, just a quick overview, which now you're the guest lecturer for. And when I learned about it, I was like, this is what we're all trying to do. And we'll get into that in just a second. I just want to ask, because this piqued my interest. You said you knew you always wanted to be an OT, and so many of us don't even learn about what OT is until maybe we're in undergraduate and exploring what a master's degree or a graduate degree might be. So how did you always know about OT?
So I had a friend in high school get into a really severe car accident, actually. It was a long rehab process. He was in a coma. He had, his right hand nearly severed off. It was just a wild, wild story. And I got to be kind of firsthand at his recovery process. So the first place I saw OT was at RIC, now Shirley Ryan Ability Lab. And the OT included me in the intervention. So I remember playing like skip bow or something. And it was like, he had to keep my score. He had to keep, his score. And it's just such functional cognition at the time. But it was just such a cool process to watch. I really think that she was the one that restored like function back into his life. It didn't matter if he got a couple more degrees of range of motion or something. It was like, hey, I can go to the bathroom by myself. I can take a shower. It was such a cool thing. And I instantly knew, hey, that's what I want to do. So there, I got lucky to see that because I chose it and I stuck with it.
That's great. I think that's a story I hear often. It's like I had a friend or a family member who got OT, and I think OTs that do a great job of bringing the client's community into the treatment sessions. It's just another great way for us to promote OT. So
100%.
Great to hear. All right. So getting back to CAPABLE, can you give us a quick explanation of what the CAPABLE program is?
For sure. So, kind of in a nutshell, Capable is a client-centered, home-based intervention to increase safety, mobility, and functionality in the capacity to age in place for adults 65 and older. It's designed to reduce the effects of problems with physical functioning as well as some psychological functioning like depression among older adults living at home by addressing the individual's capabilities and their home environment. So it's an interdisciplinary team that comes in of an OT, a nurse, and a handyman. And then we kind of assist with the person's self identified challenges and make home repairs and provide equipment, so be it, with to target those goals.
That's I just love the Capable program. The fact that it's interdisciplinary, that there's a handyman involved,
I
like
know that's like the key right there, right? Like,
it's yeah, I mean, I think when you talked about your undergrad and looking at disability studies and your fieldwork experiences and how often like we make these great recommendations, but for a number of different reasons the client isn't able to afford the changes or doesn't have the capabilities of finding a handyman to do these things. The fact that Capable wraps it all into one is really awesome. So I guess we're kind of getting into this already, but what are some of the things that really excited you? You did, I'm going to start over, Brian. So you actually were part of the Capable program as part of your capstone, and then you've decided to stick with it since then. So what was it about your capstone experience or the Capable program that really what made you want to continue to work with the program?
So just kind of how you mentioned how it kind of wraps it up in one. So initially what excited me about the Capable program was the idea of being able to go into their home, like the context in which they live, make these recommendations and then actually like act on it. As a practitioner, you can make a million recommendations and who knows if they're actually followed through. I am work full time in the inpatient unit, and I always say I wish I could follow my patient home. We do everything we can. We can provide as many resources. We can give paper handouts to family members. There's other places that I know of that may be able to provide equipment, but who knows if it's actually getting to them? We don't really know what happens after that, let alone if they qualify for continued services. With Capable, I can come in, make my recommendation, then order that equipment and make the home modification, which is, I mean, mostly free of cost to our client, provide education on how to use these items, but also, show them any barriers and brainstorm and create action plans to further their independence and safety at home. This is totally, it's just the best thing in the world, I really think. Seeing that it really makes a real difference in everybody's lives and the gratitude that I saw in each client just, I mean, sometimes it seems simple, especially as like looking at it as an OT brain, like, oh yeah, we just install grab bars, boom. Like it completely eliminates the need for any extra help to complete that ADL. It makes it 10,000% safer. It just makes me absolutely love what I do in this program.
That's so awesome. So I think an important question to ask is how do you get reimbursed? How do the clients get this equipment paid for? How does that process work?
So it is entirely grant funded. So there's a couple different corporations that work with us. A couple coming off the mind is like the Chicago Mayor's Caucus, Enterprise, a couple other companies which we write our grant and ask for the money basically. A lot of the times the nurse and OT services are completely free. Occasionally the handyman services based on the client's income is a sliding scale. Right now we've been a little bit of a lower census, so we've been able to provide all services for free, which has been really great. But yeah, so grant funded, that's where our money's coming from, which thank goodness for that.
Yeah. It's a grant funded program currently, but I know there's a lot of advocacy efforts to get Medicare to pay for Capable because it actually saves Medicare money.
100%. So all these pilot programs across the nation right now are trying to prove and use their data to show, hey, we save you guys thousands and thousands of dollars if Medicare could cover this. then look at, this money that we're saving and making people healthier too, really, at preventing these injuries from happening instead of treating them when they already do happen.
Right. Yeah, that's really where the savings comes from, is they're not going to the hospital, the ER, the doctor as often because they're not falling at home, or they're
Exactly.
managing their medication
Mm,
safely.
yeah. So,
Awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about the interdisciplinary nature? How do you work with the nurse and handyman?
yeah, for sure. So each discipline kind of has their own unique role. Generally, the OT is the first to come in and will evaluate function, the home safety risk, and help set client identified goals. Again, I'm reiterating that this is completely client focused. They're choosing what they work on. We're providing suggestions for adaptive techniques, skills, equipment, just to increase their ADL or IADL ability, increasing functional mobility and safety. So more times than not, these goals have a component for a need of a home modification, ordering equipment. I would write around on my second visit with them. I would write a work order, pass that off to the handyman. He would come in and make those home modifications that we identified. After that, the nurse comes in after my second visit, and then I will continue. We kind of alternate. So the nurse has 4 visits, I have 6 visits. The nurse will focus on setting goals with the client that address pain level, understanding and managing their medication. A lot of clients are over medicated and they don't know. So also addressing depression, communication between your primary care physician, and providing exercises to increase strength or balance. Just, kind of getting the full scope there.
Yeah, that's so much, and just one of those components can make such a huge difference. I often
100%.
encourage my clients to talk to nursing about, even, are you on the right medication schedule? Like, because it
Yes.
says once a day doesn't necessarily mean you need to take it in the morning if it makes you sleepy, you
Yeah.
know? And,
Mm.
clients can't know every side effect of a medication. So having a nurse just kind of go over your medication list can make such a difference.
100%. And some people don't ask questions, right? I mean, I know when I'm at the doctor, sometimes I'm like, okay, just give me what I need and I'm going to be out, like,
Right. Or,
so
I can't think of every question in the moment either,
exactly.
like I leave and I'm like, oh, what
Hmm.
oh. Um, so there have been times in the past where, maybe a grant had trouble finding an OT to work with the capable program, and they've asked about bringing in other disciplines. And I know that, like, the creator of Capable, Sarah Scanton, has been very adamant and advocated for occupational therapy. What is about OT that makes Capable so program? So, what is it about OT that makes Capable so successful?
So I love OT. That's, I'm a little biased here. We're the best. But what I think is we possess certain skills and knowledge which allows us to see this big picture of how older adults function at home. We have a very holistic view with our clients, as well as our task analysis skill to break down the task, see where this individual may be having, the problem, and address it right at the root. Apply either a compensatory or remedial, strategy, so that this individual can be more functionally independent to complete their daily activities. So again, kind of like I mentioned earlier, what got me interested in OT is that, we're restoring that function piece. It doesn't matter about their increased range of motion or, something like that trivial. It's okay. Like, can I provide this tool and can you, get your own clothes on again? Or, can you shower by yourself? Things that we don't think of that, it's nice to have your independence for that every day.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
That's, yeah. I just think we just bring a very unique view that other disciplines, we love all of our, we
Yeah,
have team, but we bring that holistic view that really helps us see the whole picture.
yeah, for sure.
So you've talked a lot about client-centered goals, and kind of, you're essentially doing a pretty, I'm going to start over. You talked about client-centered goals, and you are doing some traditional OT in many aspects. What assessments do you use, or what does your evaluation process look like?
So the main assessment I use is called the CCAP. It's the Client Clinician Assessment Protocol. Basically, it's a semi-structured interview slash observation tool that focuses on identifying areas of daily functioning that the client perceives as difficult or a problem area. So day one, I sit down and kind of go through, we work through every aspect of, self-care, IADL, functional mobility, and talk about, how is this going for you? What is, going well about it? What's not going well about it? And then they rate how they perceive its importance to them. So the one areas, this is how we kind of narrow down their goal areas. So I'm gonna start over.
No problem.
So I'll just start over. Okay. It's a semi-structured interview observation tool that focuses on identifying areas of daily functioning that the client perceives as either difficult or a problem area. The participant rates how important that area is to them. And with the help of the OT, we narrow down what areas to work on and brainstorm ways to fix those areas from there. It's important to, again, mention that this is their program. It's what they're motivated to do. It really plays off their self-efficacy. And although it's not really an assessment, throughout these sessions, I use motivational interviewing to kind of invoke change in this client, kind of have these conversations and use the language of, all right, you're at this level, what do you think we can do to get you at a higher level to want to make this change, or what would be easier for you? So the readiness to change scale is a huge one for us. Some other assessments we do is I'll do a PT screen to see if they need any further assessments or services from, maybe home health if they have more needs. But all in all, that's kind of where we start, and then we go from there.
I think that's really helpful to hear. I think that sometimes when we hear about these innovative programs, it feels like I don't have the skills for that, but you do. You're an OT.
Yeah.
And I also think most of the goals that you've spoken of are things that are covered by Medicare, but the fact that this is a grant funded program gives you a little bit more flexibility in that you're not having to really hone in on those very specific ADL goals that Medicare likes to see. So
100%. You're not fighting for insurance coverage like, hey, I swear they're making progress. Like, keep them. Let me keep them.
right.
So it's really cool, and I think that gives them more control over their own care too, which makes them more motivated. Which being, OTs, we know that if they're motivated to do it, their outcomes are going to be better.
Right. And we've talked a lot about client-centered goals on this podcast because it just makes such an impact on motivation. And why are we working with folks if it's not the goals that they want to be working on?
Exactly.
Awesome. Are there aspects of this program that you find challenging?
Yeah, I think there's challenges in every setting, right? And one thing I find challenging here, and I'm sure everywhere, is that sometimes we can't do it all. Like, sometimes I walk into a home and I go, wow, you would probably benefit from a whole home modification, a bathroom renovation, all
Right.
these things, but we can't exactly do that. And sometimes that's hard for me because I'm like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, or this would make it easier. But that's kind of where you turn into a good challenge for you, right? Because it forces you to get creative. It forces you to think outside the box. Again, another OT skill that I think we bring. We also have office hours virtually across the nation with all the OTs from the Capable program, which I find is just, first of all, the coolest thing. But it's a really supportive network. So if someone's having a problem area or identifies a common issue, we kind of all have like a group brainstorm session. And especially being a new grad, that's something that really helps me because I still am having challenges of being a new graduate, right?
Sure.
And I'm kind of on my own here. I don't have another OT I'm working with. So, but I have them, which is really nice.
That's so great to hear because I know that as a new grad, I really felt like I wanted the support of other OTs and people to bounce ideas off of. So I love that they've set that in place for
It's really
all of these
cool.
capable OTs because you're across the country from each other.
Yeah. So I know, like,
Right.
on the east side of the country right now, the Capable program is just like absolutely booming, and I've talked to an OT in Colorado. Like, it's really cool to kind of get the whole picture and how other programs are doing too. We're working on increasing our census. COVID kind of was a little difficult for us. again, a lot of people are a little uncomfortable, especially our older adult population, having someone come into the home. I also, at my full-time job, I was working in the COVID ICU. So that was another thing where I'm not going to go see a capable client
Yeah.
if I'm, so that posed a little bit of a struggle there, but we're out of the woods now. I fingers crossed. Um, so yeah, so they have great recruitment ideas too. And that was a huge part of my capstone, which was able to be carried out as well. So that was nice to see.
So I have a couple questions building off of that then. So the first is, did you do any telehealth through the Capable program, or have you all, you know,
Yeah.
only stuck with home visits since that's such a big part of the process?
No, when COVID first hit, we definitely switched to that telehealth platform. I had a couple I was actually seeing both of them. And so, it was funny and great to like kind of, teach them how to use Zoom and but they did great. It was great. So yeah, I had quite a few sessions over the computer, and that definitely takes a different approach, right? It's very hard to not be there. And I had
Sure.
to get really good at like using the correct language, like, okay, no, this is, or move this way, or this is how that works, instead of just showing someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just starting to stray away from that probably in the fall ish, depending on their comfort level. And obviously we have all the appropriate PPE and everything. Um, but yeah, so that it was cool. That's where help, electronics and the future helps.
Right. I know. I always just laugh because, like, you know, we work at Midwestern. I work with a faculty member who really has been an advocate for telehealth for so long, and I've been trying to learn about it. And then suddenly we all got thrown into it and we learned
Yeah,
how to do it.
she's on to something.
Yeah, guess she knows what she was talking about. So I also, you talked about that your capstone really focused on recruitment and that you had some good ideas. So I'd love to hear what some of those helpful recruitment strategies have been.
Yeah, so through my capstone, a part of it was learning the clinical administration of being a capable OT. And I had a great mentor who walked me through that. But there was another piece of we needed to get a certain number of participants to receive our grant funding. We needed 40 clients by the end of 2020. And with the wrench that COVID, threw in there, it was a little challenging.
For
But
sure.
we made it, which was great. We were, refunded for another 2 years, which was just, we all were so happy about that.
That's
But
so great.
I know we just found out like a couple, I think it was the end of December, beginning of January, we just found out. So we're like, woohoo, we can keep
Dang.
going. So, so one of the things that, and the capable OTs, especially from Colorado, and a couple out east kind of gave us some ideas of ways to target a lot of primary care physicians. Um, we targeted local senior centers. I ended up being able to link up with Loyola to provide just kind of an informational to their discharge planning team, just to say, hey, this exists. We can make referrals to this. And currently, I would love to get it up by I'm in the really north suburbs, so hopefully we can kind of branch out a little bit to hit these target areas too. So that's in the works, of course, but but yeah. So
Yeah, that makes so much sense to me, going where the folks are that you can really help.
yeah,
It seems to me that every discharge planner would love to know about the Capable program.
100%. It's great. It's really like a dream come true because everything that you need to recommend is just wrapped up for you right there. Like
Love it. Do you have a success story you'd like to share with us?
yes. The one that comes to mind is one of my recent patient or clients. Um, she's an incredible woman. She had a pretty severe stroke many years ago, who received very little follow up help. She didn't have a lot of social support. It kind of sounds like she didn't have good therapy or continued services. The first day I met her, I actually ended up spending almost 3 hours sitting and listening to her story because she was crying, I was crying. I just it's just hearing it. It was heartbreaking to hear her struggles, and she endured so much on this journey and kind of by herself. So I kind of felt like I was almost the first person she was sharing this with. So all said and done, I mean, we worked up a lot of ideas for her, but we were able to install multiple grab bars in her bathroom, all free of cost, which was great. In the shower, we were able to get some by the toilet. She had a very funky bathroom set up. We got her a toilet safety frame too. We got her a tub transfer bench. It was just, we got her a grab bar by her patio door so that she was able to have one grip so she can lift her foot up to get out on her patio and water her plants. Like, she hasn't been able to do that in 10 years. What? Like, it was just, and you could just tell, like, I mean, she was like a whole new person after this. And our last session, we sat down and she was just like, whoa, like, I can do this. And like, she felt confident in doing it too. And that made me feel good. She didn't need to hire a caregiver anymore to help her get into the shower.
Wow.
It was just such a significant, and I think this was the first one that really, like, everything clicked and it worked perfectly. And I was like, whoa, we really have the power to create change here. And I'll carry that story on forever, because I just felt like it was such a, I don't know, it rattled me. I get chills if I like think about it.
I mean, I'm tearing up a little bit.
Yeah,
I love
right.
it. The fact that one grab bar lets someone do an important occupation again, not just working on the bathroom modifications, but she can water her plants. She has something to do during her day.
Yeah, she loves to sit and watch the birds. Like, she couldn't sit on her porch, like, it's just incredible. That one thing that, I mean, again, with our lens, it kind of makes sense. Like, oh yeah, of course we'll just put that there. But no one addressed that, and no one really could. I don't think home health would really have the ability to kind of address that. It's very ADL focused, and there's this, I think, capable kind of fills in the missing pieces, right? It's the missing link that connects people back to their lives, like really doing their lives, right?
I think you need to like copyright that. That was perfect.
Maybe I should. I'll send it to them.
Well, Allyson, it's been great to talk to you. At the Moxie OT podcast, we always want to make sure we provide an opportunity for our listeners to increase their Moxie. So if a clinician wanted to know more about the Capable program, what resources would you recommend for them?
So I have some resources attached here for you, and they're just a couple websites. One links you up to the Johns Hopkins University nursing website that gives you kind of just a brief overview. There's also a link for the Chicagoland Capable. For those of you who want to dive a little deeper, I attached some scholarly articles too, just kind of dishing out the randomized control trials and the evidence behind how this really works. And one of the other tools I really like, and I give a book of, we provide a book to every client. It's kind of like an aging in place tip book. It's called Tips for Aging at Home, Doing What Matters Most to You. Dr. Laura Gitlin, Dr. Sarah Zanton, Jill Roth, RN BSN, and Allyson Evelyn Gustav. She's an OTRL. This is it right here. It's it's a quick little read. I mean, I think it's beneficial for a clinician to have it, giving some pointers to your patients.
Sorry.
Whatever setting you are in.
I'm sorry, I need to stop. As I was tabbing back and forth between the audio and Zoom, I paused the audio. So we're gonna go back and can you start when you're talking about the book?
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Apologies.
No worries.
No problem, Brian. No problem.
All right. Let me start recording again. Stupid fat finger. All right. You can take it whenever you want.
And if there's anyone out there who would be interested in an aging in place tip book for either a clinician or their client, I have a great little quick read. It's called Tips for Aging at Home, Doing What Matters Most to You. Dr. Laura Gitlin, Dr. Sarah Zanton, Jill Roth, RN BSN, and Allyson Evelyn Gustav, she's an OTRL. They kind of, they kind of put this together. And it's a great little quick read to just kind of, I think as a clinician, it's nice to have, just because it's kind of reminding you, what you're looking for, but also, giving pointers to any client in any setting. Hey, like, when you're planning your discharge from inpatient or acute or wherever, making a couple tips about making sure that their lighting is good and clearing clutter and making sure that they have a clear path to get their walker through, eliminating fall risks. So I attached an Amazon link if anyone's interested. I think it's like $17. I think it's a great quick little read. I really enjoy it. So, and I provide a copy to every patient. Northwest Housing Partnership provides a copy to every patient, just for them to kind of continue their own road for their own safety and self-efficacy. So.
Thanks. I think that's super helpful because an OT working in many settings may want to use that for like you said, their own reference or recommend it for their clients. It could be really helpful. So thank you so much. And thank you so much for talking with us today.
Of course. I was really happy to do this. I love this program. I'll talk about it all day, every day. So
the Capable program has an extensive body of evidence behind it. One recent study has found Capable reduced total Medicare expenditures for participants even more than other home-based models. Capable reduced both inpatient and outpatient spending through reduced readmissions and observation stays. Capable typically spends roughly $3,000 per participant. This is a great example of how preventative population health programs save taxpayers' dollars. The Capable program was founded by Dr. Sarah Santon at Johns Hopkins University. Their website provides numerous resources and videos describing the program. The book Allyson mentioned was Aging in Place by Dr. Laura Gitlin, Sarah Santon, Jill Roth, and Allyson Evelyn Gustav. We'll have the links to all of the resources Allyson provided on the Moxie OT website. If you want to be a part of the conversation, leave us your email address at moxieot.com. We're on all of your favorite social media channels as well. Please like and subscribe so others can join the conversation. The Moxie OT podcast was recorded in our home in the Avondale neighborhood of Chicago. This episode was produced by Brian Zira. Our intro music is courtesy of 13 Taco Studio. Technical assistance was provided by our dog Grody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.